South Africans are among the highest consumers of alcohol. That has led to a high rate of deadly road crashes. One of the less talked about and long-lasting consequences of high alcohol consumption is the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. The Northern Cape is among the provinces severely affected. In light of this, the DG Murray Trust is going to court to try and stop the provincial government from extending the liquor trading hours there. For more on this, we are now joined by Zimasa Mpemnyana, who is the Alcohol Harms Reduction Project Lead at the DG Murray Trust. Zimasa, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. So why are you taking this matter to court? What is it about the trading hours as well as the sale of alcohol that you believe could lead to even further destroying some of these communities, especially in the Northern Cape?
Good morning, Aldrin, and thank you for having me on the show. So we are taking the Northern Cape province to court because last year they put in place a provincial law that combines gambling and alcohol together and governs it. But what we saw in that bill was a drastic increase in trading hours. That increased, for instance, nightclub hours till 6 a.m. in the morning. That increased trading for on-site consumption, where you can go into restaurants and bars till about 2 a.m. in the morning. It increased sale of alcohol from outlets like liquor stores on Sundays and on public holidays as well. And we found that to be deeply disturbing, especially in a province that has such high levels of consumption, including high levels of women consuming while they are pregnant, leading to fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, which is one of the highest numbers in the world, not only just in the country. And we want to set a precedent. We want our provincial legislators to know that they must put public health first when they are legislating, and that other considerations must come second, and that the health of communities and the health of those that are most vulnerable should be put first. And trading hours are some of the easiest ways to curb consumption, but instead of us seeing provinces and municipalities curbing trading hours, we're instead seeing them increasing trading hours in the interest of business, not in the interest of communities.
Yeah. So what's your argument then before the court to say that, yes, liquor trading hours as well as the gambling, gambling licenses and issuing gambling licenses is the prerogative of the provincial government. It is the provincial government's. It is in the provincial government's capacity and legislative power to do so. How then do you say to the court also that you need to curb these particular laws that have been put in place without infringing on the separation of powers doctrine?
Okay, so that has been considered by our legal team that's going into this matter. And and that will be discussed obviously in court as well, and it's in the papers, but the thing that's at the center of this is, does the Constitution and does the law of the land put in place laws that protect health first, and does that supersede the powers of the province, and does that supersede the powers of the municipalities, and does public health play at the center of lawmaking, right? And so those are the things that will be argued in court. But even with municipalities, right, what we saw in this municipality is that, fine, they have the power to make the laws and it is at their disposal. But did they consult communities to a point where people in the province were in light of what is going to be in the law? And we feel that they did not do a good job of public participation and public consultation, because you see the different bills that are changing. So at one point, the draft bill says the times will be at this point and communities are consulted. And then you see lackluster public participation at a particular point where the trading times will be increased. So we do acknowledge that provinces have the power to do so, and that the norms and standards are in place, but then they're in place to a particular degree. but we know that our constitution and the constitution of this country centers the health and safety of communities and the health and safety of individuals in communities. And we are relying on our constitution to say that our communities have to come first. We have to legislate in a way and policy make in a way that centers community interests more than it centers other interests. And all provinces have to come to the fore to say that when we legislate for the substance that is dangerous, that is addictive, that has other consequences that take away from the economy and the safety of different provinces, we have to think about it differently when we do it. So this is why we are pushing forward for this particular municipality to also set a precedent and to think through these laws with other provinces as well.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the court deals with that particular matter, considering, for instance, that COVID-19 matter that was before the court when the then Minister of Traditional Affairs and Cooperative Governance instituted that ban on smoking, was, of course, trying to curb the spread of COVID-19, and the court finding that actually, the minister was wrong in that particular decision. But it will be interesting to see how the court deals with this particular one, because the pressures are there specifically on the health system. And as we've spoken now about also the fetal alcohol syndrome that affects women and the children that are born from that. But what about the opposition? Opposition parties that are sitting in the legislature as such bills are presented before them?
We are always open and willing to speak to opposition parties, but what we have seen is that there's a lot of politicking and there's a lot of use of politics in the space of alcohol legislation, and there's a use of power and there's a use of power by producers and by the industry in that space. And we are seeing that opposition parties use this particular issue as part of the politicking for councils, and we urge against it. And we are always open to sharing information that will make policy making open. And sometimes when you have these conversations, you'll find that opposition parties don't have as much power as they would like to have, and that those that are in power are the ones that push for the numbers. And so we know that the alcohol industry and the alcohol game is a politics game as well, in that politics are part of it. And we would urge, we are always open to sharing information that is scientifically backed and scientifically proven, and research that is done by institutions like the University of Cape Town that proves some of the arguments that we speak of, and that whatever decisions that are made in legislating and policy making are based on the scientific fact more than they are based on some of the issues that are happening in our legislative offices.
Yeah. Do you have a court date as yet?
We don't have a court date as yet. We are still waiting on it, and we will definitely share once it all comes out.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. That is Zimasa Mpemnyana, who is from the DG Marais Trust Alcohol Harms Reduction, speaking to us about this decision by the provincial government of the Northern Cape to extend the trading hours for alcohol. As an example, for instance, liquor outlets will operate from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mondays to Fridays, and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. We normally use to midday or 1 o'clock. Restaurants and bars are now allowed to sell liquor until 2 a.m. and every day of the week. And then nightclubs can sell alcohol up until 6 a.m. So those are just some of the regulations that have been put in.